You're welcome back to the Pulse. And just before the break, I was talking about the affordable housing projects. This week here on Journeys, we have been taking a critical look at our housing challenge in the country today, why we are still having a lot of problems with people struggling to have a roof over their heads. Raymond Akwa has been spearheading this campaign for us here and doing a lot of research on this. Raymond, good afternoon to you once again. For the affordable housing project in Kumasi, what's become of it?
Okay, so we understand that, of course, we've checked, and that our reports on the ground show that really nothing has happened since November 15, when the minister officially handed over the project to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust. So the indication then was that SNIT was going to take over, start work, and complete it in 18 months. We've gone some 7 months after the handover, and there's nothing happening there. We were told that immediately what they wanted to do is to clear the squatters there. The squatters are still there as we speak to you, and we've actually had several talks with some of them who says nobody has given them any indication that they are going to be moved anytime soon. Indeed, they even welcome the fact that if they start work on that project, they may also get jobs to do and be able to afford the right kind of housing at a different place within the city.
Okay, so for this project, remind us again how many units it will have provided if work had started and we'll get it on time.
Okay, so we are expecting 12,500. The initial one was 15,000, but after 7 years, and this was started in 2005, after 7 years when the NDC government took over and said that, okay, we could not do it immediately, but now let's find alternatives to making sure that we still provide the same housing without letting go the huge investments we made into this particular project. What it then decided to do is SNIT will handle it. SNIT is also putting up several other houses. You've heard in times past of SNIT flats. They are going to treat it like those particular buildings and make sure that they get it constructed immediately. This particular one in Kumasi in November was supposed to go through a series, 18 months tops. Everything should be done. But we've gone like 7 months and we're left 11 months. 7 months. All that we know is that there have been several meetings trying to work out a plan on how to go about it, and nothing concrete has been done about it. No single contractor has moved to site. Okay,
now this feeds into the bigger conversation of the kind of challenge we have in the country with housing. How does this feed into the problem in Kumasi with accommodation?
Okay, so if we're able to provide a 12,000 units in our official means that we are going to get the more than 50,000 that demand housing in Kumasi, getting it reduced by 12,000. So we'll be left to about 18,000 or 38,000 or so. But what happens is every year we keep compounding it. Every year we are adding close to, if you do rough estimation, we're adding close to 15,000, what they call it, more people demanding houses, and yet we're not getting the houses for them. So as the deficit keeps increasing, we are unable to do the specific projects. And don't forget, this project, if within the 18 months was supposed to be completed, other projects were supposed to be rolled out so that they will make up for the shortfall. We have to clear this before we start other projects. We've not been able to clear this. So all the other projects that follow this one will have to be delayed because we have to now budget for them, as the new composite budget plan also indicates. And we have to make sure that if you're even getting help from elsewhere, it situates in our national plan. 2016 budget year is virtually done. We're preparing 2017 budget year, which in November has to be delivered. In fact, we've not made plans for other forms within the same city. A city where, just like Accra, is struggling to make, and people are having to pay serious amounts of money as rent, and people are getting places to sleep, and the slum population is also rocketing. Still, it will compound a bigger problem, increase it without a solution. Indeed, if you're able to even do it, it may have to come next year because our budget cycle will fall out of it.
Okay, but how does that fit into the bigger frame here? Have any of the affordable housing projects we were promised from what? In the early 2000s up until now, have any of them been completed? Have people moved in yet?
The only one that we know has some units completed, not entirely completed. It's the one at what they call it, Boteman, here in Accra. The Boteman project has, we are told, 908 units completed. That's like 6 blocks, and that's supposed to even go to the military. So that one we know it's completed. They've not moved in yet, so we don't know what the actual stage of the completion is as we speak, but we are told it's completed. The buildings are there, but the people who are supposed to move in there are yet to move in there. The rest across the country, they are just stages of completion. It is very clear that most of them, work is still not going on.
Okay. And for even the ones that are yet to be completed, do we know whether they are ongoing or they've also stalled, like the Kumasi example?
Our checks on the ground show that just like Kumasi, in Tamale, in the eastern region in Koforidua, and also even in Wa, none of these projects are ongoing.
Do we know why?
I mean, the reasons vary. For places where SNIT has actually contracted others to do the work, they are still discussing the terms of engagement with them 7 months down the line. Other places that, like Wa and Tamale, there's not been any concrete discussion on what to do even with the project yet as we speak.
Okay, so for housing, it's a major issue for anyone. The basic conditions for anyone's living: food, clothing, and shelter. And shelter is indeed a very important component. Do we see a certain concerted effort, a commitment by any government in this Fourth Republic that has done enough to address the accommodation challenge?
Okay, so it's two things. When you do the comparison, first, the promise acts against the reality. Virtually every government since 1992 recognized this as a problem. But when we had only 5 million deficit in 1994, if we worked on it and finished all of the projects by 2000, we would have only been meeting the current trends and be dealing with fresh requests. But we let it flow into 2000. In fact, by 2007, from just 5 million, we rolled into 12 million. As we speak, we're estimating some 2 million in this particular case. So what is going to happen moving on is that more people are going to be looking for the same non-existent housing units, more pressure on the existing ones. Then the demand is very high for very low supply. Any businessman in the position of an entity will have to increase how I'm charging or open it up to a biggest bidder who pay more to get a small units that people are fighting for. So that's the current situation in the major cities now. There is no housing for people. So if you can pay more for substandard housing, which not even be costing that much, you have to pay for it. And that's what's been the situation.
Okay, so it means as it stands, we are looking for private solutions to what should be public problems.
Yes, but what government has also done is to try some public-private partnerships. It's not worked perfectly, but we are told that the projects are still supposed to be ongoing. In fact, even today, the ministry launched one with KUST and some private institutions in Kumasi. The idea is that within the next 40 years, we should be expecting some 10,000 units.
40?
Yes, for 10,000 units.
Okay. Okay, that's something we'll have to wait and see if anything comes out of. But thank you, Raymond Akwa, for this analysis on Ghana's housing problem. It's a week-long thing we're doing here on the Joy News channel. We'll keep an eye on the developments and bring you more on this in our subsequent bulletins here on this channel. At this point, we'll go for a break. We'll come back and bring you sports here on The Pulse. Stay with us.